story time. So just over a year ago, I left my corporate executive position to become a full-time artist. It's been 15 months now, and I'm still not making enough money to fully financially support myself and my art alone without the support of my husband. I understand that that's not a privilege everyone has, so that's why I wanted to share what this journey really looks like, with the messy middle and all. Hi, my name's Amber. I'm 32 years old. I live in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm a full-time artist. If you've ever wondered what it takes to leave behind a stable career to follow something creative and uncertain, I've got a story for you. To give you my quick backstory, I graduated high school at 18 years old and went right to college. At college, I decided to study interior design because I was always creative and I wanted to do something in the arts, but I was always told that being an artist didn't pay. So I picked something art adjacent, and I really did enjoy learning about interiors and designing fake rooms, on somebody else's budget, of course. But in practice, when I graduated, interior designers were making $11 or $12 an hour starting out, and I was financially supporting myself. That just didn't pay the bills. So I got a sales job. As I was working that job, I started painting on the side for fun, and that was the first time I really took painting seriously, and I was hooked. I actually even had my own solo art show in a little train station near my university, and I sold a couple of paintings, and from that moment, I realized I could make this a career. Now, I didn't have the schooling for it, and I didn't have the money for it, so I needed to keep working my sales job, but I made myself a goal that one day I would be a full-time artist. I just needed to get myself a nest egg first. I needed to root myself firmly in the financials before I made a decision like that. One thing about me is that I can work really hard, and when there's a task I'm assigned or something that I set my mind to, I want to do it to the best of my ability. And my managers at the time recognized that in me, and I received my first promotion to sales manager. I did that job for a while, and then I wound up taking another opportunity with another company as a sales rep, but I had better pay. They paid me more money to just do sales, and at the time, my quest was make as much money as possible so I could become a full-time artist. So I left, moved to my new job as a sales rep, and that's where I really pushed myself in a corporate capacity. Over the course of 7 years, I moved from working the phones, doing sales and customer service, to being promoted to sales manager, training manager, and then eventually to director of training and development. Now, I was still painting on the nights and the weekends, but the final 2 to 3 years of my time at that company really gave me a variety of emotions. On one hand, I was so proud of myself. I had built brick by brick and scaled an entire department for a $100 million a year company. Also witnessed the impact that I had on hundreds of people because of the training that I gave them to do their roles. And that was really fulfilling. On the other hand, I was spending nearly 80 hours a week between working and commuting to and from the office. I was expected to work 6 days a week for 6 to 8 months out of the year. I also traveled several times a year, so needless to say, I was burnt out. I also didn't have any time for creating artwork, let alone cleaning my house, cooking full meals, spending time with my friends and family. The anxiety that was building up inside of me was becoming way too much to handle. It was out of control. I was proud, but I was also exhausted. I'd built something that I no longer wanted to live in. But as the years went on, my salary increased, and money was not always the end. It was a means to an end. But it's hard not to get caught up in climbing the corporate ladder when you see that paycheck increasing. But just over a year ago, my brother passed away unexpectedly, and I was really grieving. I took 2 weeks off of work because I couldn't get through a single day or even a meeting without crying. But that was 2 weeks, and then I had to be back to the grind. Not only did I have to go back to work, but I was heading into the start of another 3-month-long busy season, which would require me to work 6 days a week. That was September of 2023, and that busy season would end in December of 2023. I was commuting 3 hours a day. I was spending about $1,000 a month in gas and tolls, and I was still being told that I had to work in the office 6 days a week, even though half of our employees worked remote. It didn't make sense to me anymore, and I was falling apart. So I made a decision that after that busy season, I was gonna quit. I just couldn't do it anymore. Like I said, that was September of 2023. In January of 2024, I took the leap. I'd been preparing my skills for this moment for over a decade. I'd taken a variety of online drawing and painting courses. I'd experimented on my own with a variety of techniques, and I actually established somewhat of a signature style for myself. When January of 2024 rolled around, I put in a month's notice with my job so that I'd have enough time to train my replacement. But to my surprise, they accepted my resignation effective immediately. So while I thought I'd have another month's worth of salary to add to my savings, I didn't get that. So I had about 6 months worth of savings in the bank, and I had to roll with it. The first few weeks after leaving my job were hard in a way that I didn't expect. I was constantly wondering if I made the right decision, and I actually lined up a few interviews for other training and management positions because in my brain I thought, well, maybe if I just worked for a less stressful company, I could still get a solid paycheck and do my art on the side. I'd have the mental capacity for both. But my husband, then at the time he was my boyfriend, he really encouraged me to give it some time before jumping into another corporate role and actually give my art business a real effort. So that was January of 2024, and I did just that. In June of 2024, between paying my bills and starting my business, I ran out of savings, and I hadn't sold a single painting. That was very, very scary. As a woman who's always fully financially supported herself and never relied on another person, I was now without an income, without any safety net, and about to be fully financially dependent on someone who wasn't even my husband for the first time since being a child. I was freaking out. And just when I thought I'd have to go back to corporate, I made one small decision that changed everything. Prior to this moment, my strategy was to sell my fine art paintings online to anyone who wanted to buy them, but I didn't really have a niche. I had always said that I never wanted to paint pet portraits. That's a whole story for another time. I decided to paint a picture of my dog, Tilly. It was an oil painting, and I posted it on Facebook, and my friends loved it. Everybody was commenting about how beautiful it was, and they just loved the painting. So I asked them if I started making pet portraits, would people buy them? And they said they would. So I started advertising pet portraits, and in the first week, I sold 5 commissions. Now, those first 5 paintings that I sold were only $50 each. Way underpriced, especially considering I was doing about 10 to 12 hours worth of work on each painting. But I needed to practice painting pet portraits, and I also needed to build my portfolio. So I did those first 5 paintings, and then after that, I advertised pet portraits again, and I offered them for $75. I got another 3 commissions off of that. So that was my new strategy. Every time I would complete 3 to 5 commissions, I would re-advertise and raise the price. And I've been doing that for about a year now and have been steadily raising my price to the point where my commissions start at about $250 right now, and they go up from there, which is not where I want to be. But I do always have a commission on my easel, and I always have steady money coming in. But it is not enough money to pay the bills in Brooklyn, New York. So I'm still on my journey. I joined YouTube because I wanted to share my story and take people along with me as I continue to grow my business. If you're just starting out, you can learn what worked for me, what definitely did not work for me, so maybe you could save yourself some struggles. If you're already an artrepreneur and you have your own business, well, hopefully my channel will be somewhere where you can come and connect with someone who understands the struggles that you're going through. Starting an art business isn't just about making good art. You actually have to be the salesperson, the customer service person, the marketer, the accountant. There's a lot of different hats to wear, and my plan is to talk about all those things on this channel. If you get sick or if you have a major life event, you still need to plan for how to finish those commissions. That happened to me when I had a pinched nerve and 4 commissions that were due and I couldn't move my arm. We'll talk about things like that. A big part of me also really misses teaching, so we'll do some of that on this channel as well. I'll have some color mixing tutorials, I'll teach you some basics of light and shadow, we'll talk about oil painting, acrylic paints, alcohol ink. I'll show you how to set up your palette to paint a pet portrait and how to paint your own pet portrait for the first time. I'll have many other tutorials as well. This channel will evolve based on the audience and what you guys would like to see, and also what I'm working on in the moment. One thing I'll tell you is that I learned the hard truth that earning money in art takes a lot longer than what I thought. And just because you're good at art doesn't mean that you're going to have a successful business. You're going to learn a lot through trial and error, and you'll spend and lose a lot of money in the process. Having a nest egg really helps. If you're still working full-time and you're building your dream on the side, you're not behind, you're being strategic. Trust yourself. I've also learned that momentum builds slowly, so if you stay with it, you will build progress. I've been working at this for over a decade. It'll happen. It just takes time. Quitting my job did not solve everything, but it definitely got me closer to a life that I don't want to escape from. Like I said, on this channel, I'll be sharing not only tutorials, but also the ups and downs of running an art business, what it's really like to run the logistics from the inside, and to start a business from scratch. So if that sounds like your type of space, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.